In this presentation, I will give a high-level introduction on aquifer storage and recovery, then focus on the Texas Water Code 11.155 to ASR-related mandates for the Texas Water Development Board to conduct a statewide suitability survey for ASR and AR projects, as well as to conduct studies on the ASR projects listed in the State Water Plan. This will include describing the process the innovative water technology team follows to select these projects and identify studies type. Then I will present the results of the first completed study, in addition to an overview of our current studies. So, what is aquifer storage and recovery, or ASR? The Texas Water Code 27.151 defines ASR as a project involving the injection of water into a geologic formation for the purpose of subsequent recovery and beneficial use by the project operator. The figure to the right shows a typical ASR system which uses the same well to inject treated water into the aquifer and recover the injected water. There are other forms of practice forms of managed aquifer recharge, such as aquifer recharge (AR), which uses infiltration basins. The map in this slide shows the aquifer storage and recovery and aquifer recharge projects in Texas. The colored circles and triangles represent ASR and AR recommended water management strategies in the 2022 State Water Plan, respectively, based on planned water source, surface water, groundwater, reclaimed water, or various sources. The green boxes are alternative strategies. In 2019, the Texas legislature passed House Bill 721, which became Texas Water Code 11.155. The first mandate in the bill directed the Texas Water Board to conduct a suitability survey for aquifer storage and recovery projects and manage aquifer recharge. In the coming slides, I will go over the implementation and the results of the statewide suitability survey. TWDB contracted with HDR and completed the survey in December of 2020. The study identifies areas in Texas for successful ASR and AR projects based on 3 separate screens. The first one is the hydrogeological parameter screen, which identifies aquifer with appropriate characteristics for ASR and AR projects. The second one is the excess water screen, which identified potential sources of water supply, including surface water, reclaimed water, and groundwater. And the third one is water supply needs screen, which identified locations of future water demands based on information from the 2022 draft State Water Plan. This screen is limited to municipal, manufacturing, and stream electric needs. Scores from these 3 screens were integrated into relative final suitability rating for ASR and AR individually across all of Texas. The study was completed and published in December of 2020. The result of this regional report is intended to identify potential suitable areas for ASR and AR projects and does not replace the need for site-specific surveys. Due to the spatial nature of the project, we developed this story map for data display. Each of these tabs contain more details on each of the screening parameters, suitability rating results, survey scope, and conclusions, as well as links for downloading the reports, an interactive web map. In the coming slide, I will give a quick overview on the Explore the Data tab, which takes the user to an interactive map with over 100 layers of data, including some regional data such as regional water planning areas, groundwater conservation districts, and counties. The user can toggle any layer on and off from the list on the right to view the different results. The default display layer is the final ASR suitability rating for the entire state. The blue shades represent the grid cells in which all three parameters, aquifer, excess water, and water need, were identified. The darker shade represent the most suitable area for ASR. Areas with no major or minor aquifers were assigned are shown in the tan color. And areas where excess water, water need, or both were not identified are displayed in the gray shades. In this screenshot, I have the ASR project points. They are displayed as well. Information about each project can be viewed by clicking on the project point. The example shown here is for the City of Kerrville ASR project. When the user clicks on any of the grid cells, a window with a list of all the screening results along with the final suitability will appear. The final suitability rating for the Kerrville project cell is moderately suitable for ASR. Now we will look at these results of each of the screening parameters. As mentioned before, the first parameter is the hydrogeological screen, looking at major and minor aquifers in the area. Each grid cell was evaluated for the most suitable aquifer for ASR based on the geologic and hydrogeologic characteristics. By clicking on any grid cell, the user can see more information on the score category and the high scoring aquifer for overlapping aquifers. In this example, the cell scored medium suitability for ASR, and the high scoring aquifer is the Trinity aquifer. More details on each major and minor aquifer scores are available in their individual layers. As mentioned before, the excess water screen evaluates surface, reclaimed, and groundwater. Excess water screening results for the Kerrville project cell show high excess water score category. The information window gives these details on these scores, such as in the example here. In the selected pixel, excess surface and reclaimed water were identified. Water needs screening parameter evaluated municipal, manufacturing, and steam electric future demands from the 2022 State Water Plan draft database. A municipal water user group with no identified water supply needs falls in the Kerrville project grid cell. However, for the final ASR score, the tool searches for water needs within a specified zone around the project grid cell. The cell with identified water needs within this zone is the cell to the southeast of a project location, outlined with the purple box, with identified municipal needs that scored high for water needs category. More details on each of these parameters are available in their individual layers. The story map and the GIS files for the statewide suitability survey for ARR and ASR projects provide accessibility to free and public data that is versatile and attuned to the water planning process. These maps are available for taking an initial look at potential ASR and AR project resources during the 2026 regional water planning cycle. Based on how other stakeholders have already used this survey, additional insights on potential projects could be found. In one or the three screening could be used as on its own, such as using excess water map with reclaimed water points to look for potential use water supplies opportunities. As noted before, due to the large regional nature of this survey, it cannot replace the need for site-specific feasibility study, but may give insight into the planning process. For data access, you can use these QR codes to view the project web page as well as the story map. The second mandate of the Texas Water Code 11.155 was for the TWDB to work with appropriate interested persons to conduct studies on ASR and AR projects in the State Water Plan or identified by others, and report the results of these studies to the regional water planning groups and interested persons. To implement this mandate, we evaluated and gathered information on the projects listed in the State Water Plan. Each project was scored according to the following criteria. The sponsor's interest in having TWDB staff completed a study and the identified need for it. Sponsor support is a key for a successful completion of a beneficial study that moves a project forward. Project planning status. A higher score was given to projects with less work completed because TWDB study would provide more benefit. Data availability. High quality, readily available data would allow us to successfully complete a study. Staff skill sets. The type of study needed to advance the project had to match the skill set of the TWDB staff. And the online decade. An early and online decade, as listed in the State Water Plan, was given a higher score. In addition to these criteria, other supporting information were considered, such as the final rating for ASR and AR in the statewide suitability survey, the source water type for ASR projects, the strategy goal, and the proposed study type. In this map, we show the TWDB ASR study status as of August of 2022. We completed the study for the Guadalupe-Blanco River Authority with the green triangle study area in the map. Our three current studies are for the City of Bandera ASR project, the purple study area in Bandera County, the San Jacinto River Authority ASR project, the blue area in Montgomery County, and the Lower Valley Water District ASR project, the orange area in El Paso County. I will give a brief overview on these studies in the coming slides. The first selected study was to support the ASR component of the Guadalupe-Blanco River Authority Mid-basin water supply project. The GBRA plans to inject treated surface water from the Guadalupe River into the Carrizo-Wilcox aquifer when availability from the river exceeds customer demands and there is available capacity at the new water treatment facility. This study matched the selection criteria because the GBRA was greatly interested in having a study done by the TWDB. The project had a high-level desktop feasibility study completed. There were high-quality data available from previous TWDB studies and other sources. The IWT staff had technical skills to complete a study, and the project had a relatively early planned online decade of 2035. The sponsor of the project needed to better understand the storage parameters and potential of the aquifers in the vicinity of its mid-basin water supply project for the existing infrastructure. And based on that, they identified the study area outlined in blue in this map. The GBRA also identified a maximum depth of 2,000 feet below ground surface for economical and operational considerations. The IWT team conducted an aquifer characterization study to describe the hydrogeological characteristics such as stratigraphy, lithology, and groundwater salinity in the aquifer system. The following slides will be covering the results of the study. This study mapped the target aquifer as two separate units, the Wilcox Group and the Carrizo Sands. and determine the depth to the top and bottom of each unit, as well as each respective thickness, to support planning for the construction of the future ASR well and to aid in project site selection. The map tops of the Kerrville sand and the Wilcox group both increase in depth from the outcrop area in the northwest, which is the red color area in the map, towards the southeast, the blue color area in both maps. The maps are limited to the maximum depth mapped in the formation in the study area, which is the 2,000 feet below ground surface. It is represented by the thick black contour line in the map. The top of the Kerrville sand reaches this depth about 15 miles from the outcrop, and the top of the Wilcox group reaches it about 12 miles from the outcrop. This slide shows the thickness rasters. The dark color in the maps represent areas with larger thicknesses. In general, the entire thickness of both formation increases to the southeast towards the Gulf of Mexico. The maximum thickness for the Kerrville sand in the study area is 904 feet. It pinches out as the dip of the formation reaches the 2,000 feet study depth limit to the southeast. As for the Wilcox group, when limited to less than 2,000 feet deep, the maximum thickness is 1,528 feet. Here we have the rasters for the net sand in each unit. This analysis identifies the dominant lithological characteristics of strata, which affect recharge, storage, and recoverability of the water. In general, sand layers with little to no clay, known as clean sand, are considered to be one of the best aquifer materials better suited for ASR. The results show that the Kerrville is predominantly clean sand with some interbedded clay and shale. Some of the sand units are over 500 feet thick, as shown in the figure to the right. In these maps, the green color represents the thinnest net sand units and the red represent the thickest. As mentioned before, these maps are limited to where the formation is less than 2,000 feet deep. Between the surface and this depth, there is up to 623 feet of net sand in the Kerrville formation. The thinnest units of the Kerrville sand are in the outcrop and where it pinches out at the 2,000 feet limit. As for the Wilcox group, the net sands in the study area range between 0 to 220 feet of accumulated sands. These sand units are often less than 100 feet thick and vertically isolated between shale layers. The thickest sand located immediately down dip of the Wilcox group outcrop, which is the area with yellow to red colors in the map to the right. Next is the water quality results. Groundwater salinity is an important water quality parameter and has implications for an ASR project. It affects the design of the well, planning operations, and establishing a buffer volume, and it affects the water treatment, the level of water treated requirement. This slide shows the groundwater salinity class map ranging from fresh, the blue color, to moderately and very saline class, the pink color. For the Kerrville sand to the left and the Wilcox group to the right, the analysis was limited to the 2,000 feet depth. In general, salinity tends to increase with depths to the southeast in both units, but there are some zones with mixed salinity in both units, which is the green colors in both maps. The largest salinity class in the Kerrville sand is fresh, and it extends far down dip due to the higher porosity. Whereas there are no completely fresh zones in the Wilcox group mapped in the study area due to its complex lithology. The highest salinity class in the Carrizo sand is moderately saline, which is the orange color in the southeast of the map, and the highest in the Wilcox group is moderately and very saline class in the southeast as well. This refined analysis of the Carrizo-Wilcox aquifer hydrogeological characteristics identified the most suitable aquifer and zone for ASR projects in the study area. This is the Carrizo sand in the middle third of the study area, outlined with the red 25 by 9 mile red box on this map. The study also described the potential water quality implication on the design, construction, and operation of an ASR well. For example, the selection of well material, screening, as well as the size of the buffer zone are influenced by salinity level of the aquifer. The GBRA hired a contractor for final site selection, well construction, and design. We also considered the final ASR score from the statewide suitability survey, which showed moderately to high suitability for ASR in the study area. Further discussion on these results is in the aquifer characteristics for the Carrizo-Wilcox aquifer in eastern Gonzales and part of Caldwell and Guadalupe counties, the report that was published in March of this year. The second study we selected was to support the ASR component of the City of Bandera surface water acquisition, treatment, and ASR water management strategy. The City of Bandera plans to inject treated surface water from the Medina River into the Lower Trinity aquifer to be recovered when water supply demand is high using existing water supply wells. This study matched the selection criteria because both the City of Bandera and the Bandera County River Authority and Groundwater District were interested in a study done by the TWDB. The project only had a high-level desktop feasibility study completed. There were high-quality data available from existing TWDB studies, and the IWT staff had the technical skills to complete this study. And finally, the project had a relatively early planned online decade of 2040. The City of Bandera wanted to understand the longevity of their existing water supply wells. This is due to the declining water levels the city has been experiencing in the Lower Trinity aquifer, their main water supply. The wells are already reaching maximum drawdown with little redundancy in case of failure. The map here shows the city's 3 Lower Trinity wells, the Mulberry Street well in the middle of the map, the Dal Street well located northwest of the city, and the Indian Waters well far north. IWT team created a numerical groundwater model to assess the longevity of these wells and determine if ASR should be considered. The report is currently in review. The Bandera well longevity model was based on the Hill Country Trinity groundwater availability model and the Hill Country Trinity brackish resources aquifer characterization study generated surfaces. The Bandera well longevity model refined the Hill Country Trinity GAM grid over the Bandera County, which is the focus study area outlined with the dashed green line in the map. In addition to other updates and several additions to match the study objective. We tested out 3 different scenarios. The no change scenario, that's when pumping will remain static. The projected use scenario, that's when pumping will increase to match the projected demands in the 2022 State Water Plan. And the maximum use scenario, which when pumping will increase to produce all groundwater listed as available to the city of Bandera in the 2022 State Water Plan. To see what they can expect, how their wells are going to react, and whether this supports their development of a future ASR project. The summary of the study's preliminary results is that the city of Bandera public supply wells are reaching critical conditions with current operation and well configuration. When running, water levels are reaching current maximum drawdown. The wells will be no longer usable when water levels reach the bottom of the casing. The worst case scenario for the city of Bandera is to pump all the existing water supply listed in the State Water Plan. In this case, drawdown would exceed current pump depth. With these results, mitigation actions like ASR to augment lower Trinity water levels will be needed. Furthermore, the final ASR score from the State Water Suitability Survey showed mostly low to moderate suitability for ASR in the study area. We're also working on an aquifer characterization study for the San Jacinto River Authority project to support a future ASR project that plans to inject surface water into the Gulf Coast aquifer. The SGRA identified ASR as a strategy that could contribute to their groundwater use reduction plan. The study area outlined with black in this map is based on a buffer around SGRA service area outlined in green. The project met most of the selection criteria and scored high for ASR suitability. The study aims to fill some data gaps identified in SGRA's raw water supply master plan, including local aquifer characteristics and aquifer storage potential. The study is in the data collection and quality check phase. It focuses on Montgomery County, and it looks at the Evangeline and Jasper Formation in the Gulf Coast aquifer. The Lower Valley Water District is looking at potentially injecting treated wastewater from a new wastewater treatment facility or the existing Rio Grande surface water into the Waco-Bolson aquifer. The figure here shows the two proposed ASR sites. The IWT study is not a full aquifer characterization due to lack of data, as very few wells go that deep in the area. Most of them are in the shallow Rio Grande alluvium. The study provides a high-level suitability survey, more area focused compared to the statewide suitability survey. It will look into the needs and available excess water in the area, in addition to potential aquifer zones to store water. The study also aimed to identify data gaps. This study is in the data collection phase as well. This has been a brief overview on the TWDB ASR supporting studies. If you would like to know more, please reach out to me or the IWT department. Thank you for your time this afternoon and for TAGD for the opportunity. And